mean, I was exhausted.
Right, right. I understand that. I think these are very difficult to do. So now these are the figural ones. We also have torrances that are verbal, and those have tasks on them that say, what are all the things you can do with a brick? What are all the things you can do with a coat hanger, etc. And kids write down. Now, as you would expect, with very young children on the verbal test, their little hands get tired. So you have to figure out how old a kid really needs to be before they can actually write all that stuff down. And that's often why in the state of Arkansas we use the figural but not the verbal. Is there anybody who's in a district that uses both figural and verbal? You do? You do both? And how far down do you test, Nancy, on the verbal?
Oh, second grade.
Wow. How do those little guys do?
Not too good.
Because they're worn out, right?
Yeah, and I don't use it all the time. I mean, I've used it, I'm saying that we use it, but I think about a year ago I tried doing both. And for me personally, I'm in a state of transition where I'm trying to get out of that because it takes forever for me to grade them. So I'm trying to switch over to something like the Williams, which I hear is easier to grade. So I'll refrain from using both and just going just to the nonverbal.
Okay. Well, to tell you the truth, I think that if you're going to use a creativity measure, using figural is probably gets you more bang for your buck than going with a verbal creativity. And the only reason I say that is there are many other ways you can tap verbal creativity that will be easier on you and not take quite so much scoring time.
Well, I've got on the Williams, the verbal part, there's a lot of questions about how creative they think they are.
Right.
And the problem I had was I had a lot of kids that didn't think they were creative at all, but then they scored better on the actual drawings. They weren't giving themselves enough credit.
Right, and the Williams Creativity Assessment Packet comes, let's keep these Tauruses here, and then I'll sort of show you what I can show you about my Williams. Because the Williams comes in 3 parts, and this is outlined in that Lemons article. But let's take a look at it. Because the Williams has divergent thinking that's figural, like this. That's why you're saying it looks like the Torrance, because it does. So it looks like this. But it also has other pieces. So it has what's called divergent feeling, which is more like a, quote, survey. It asks kids what they think. So it will say, that's nice, isn't it? Show that. Hold that up. Lovely. See what kid did? Is that great? Or did you do that?
I did not do that.
You did not do that? You're capable of doing that. So isn't that lovely? An abstract drawing in one area it becomes a... Oh no, it's an integrated picture, isn't it? Yeah, so they incorporated... Okay. I thought it was two separate repetitions of that same design, but it's not. That's clever. Okay, very clever.
So what is that? Like an app on a...
No, this was just good.
He just called it up. He just found it. Did you see it?
No, I didn't actually see
Okay.
it.
All right.
Is the response to one of the drawings?
Isn't that clever? Yeah. So the Williams also does exercise and divergent feeling. And so here's what you're talking about, Kim. It says, in school I try to guess about things even if I'm not right. Okay? And the kid is supposed to say, that's mostly true about me, that's partly true or untrue about me, it's mostly untrue about me, I really cannot decide. And then based on that, that's how you feel, and that's supposed to be related to how creative you are. Now let's stop and think for a moment. Okay, you have a question?
Now they get to use, on the one like this, they get to use color, don't they? Do you use color on that one?
On the Williams,
Yeah.
I think they're allowed to use color on either.
They're allowed to use color?
I don't remember.
don't
They've
remember.
changed the scoring on these. You used to have to do the torrents just in pencil, because they were trying to make sure it wasn't a quote art assessment. But I think the Williams always allowed color as well.
I kind of didn't know what I was doing last year, so I made them all use pencils. So.
Just, yeah,
Well,
I
actually-
didn't know if they could or not. So I used pencil.
But it was easier for me to have them all
Yeah.
with a pencil than have to distract. I mean,
Like, I
the
need a green,
distraction
I
of
need a
color. As far as
blue,
art,
yeah.
I love the color, I love that. But as far as me grading them, it distracts me sometimes.
Well, that's not a bad idea, because there's been some confusion over whether we're testing creativity or artistic ability. And what Torrance, at least, what Torrance was about is not on the art, please. I mean, he was trying not to do that. He was
Right,
trying-
and I was scared when I gave the Williams because of my art background. I was afraid that I was going to lean towards one thing or the other. But Amy Hoskins was the one that was talking to me about it, and she said, really, if you follow the rules, that's not going to happen, because it's did they draw in the box, outside the box, those kind of things. And so that was easier for me, because I was so afraid that I was going to be influenced by the drawings. You know?
Right, and there are subtle differences between the Williams and the Torrance in how you score. I believe in the Williams, going outside the box is not acceptable. In the Torrance, it is.
You don't get as many points for going outside the box as you get inside, because everybody wants to draw outside the box, outside of the shade instead of inside for some reason.
Yeah. Well, and I think Siomen put it away already. No, I didn't quite put it away. But on the Williams, it's boxed in. If you look at the Torrance,
It's boxed in too.
some of them are not boxed in.
Oh, those aren't.
Okay.
These are though.
So the divergent feeling is really like questions, and I'm going to set these up so that you guys can get a look at it. Now, if that's the case, what's really happening here is people are trying to assess creativity, now not on this one, not by the product, but by the person, the personality you project. Are you a creative person? Williams' idea being that some of these statements are more indicative of creative people rather than less creative people. So he's actually looking at two things there. Okay? So I will set this up so you can see the Williams, because I want you to be able to see all of them. So how about if I put the Williams right here? Yes, Betsy.
Quick question. Should we be training the kids on how to do this? Because if we don't, to me that's like a systematic bias. If we just throw this at them without them having ever done one of these and say, do this, because I know whenever I first started and I did that, and I just read them the directions, I got nothing back. And then as I have been teaching, we kind of go through how to do one of these, and we'll practice, and I tell them, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing by doing that?
Well, you're using it for different purposes, right? And so it is okay to use a creativity assessment, according to some people, to identify creatively gifted kids or creative giftedness in kids. And it's also okay for creativity to be an outcome of your programs and services, so you actually want to improve it. So in that case, you're using it for a different reason. Increasingly over the years, I've heard teachers tell me kids really don't know what to do with a creativity test because their experience in school has become so uncreative.
Yeah.
They are fearful of doing some of the
Doing the wrong
items.
thing. Yeah.
They're fearful of doing the wrong thing, and that's a lot worse than it has been. So if your goal is to make sure they are increasing their creativity, then showing them some enabling behaviors is okay. you probably are not getting as accurate a baseline as you could. So you have to sort of think about what you're using.
So you're saying that teachers are saying we're not seeing?
Increasingly, teachers are telling me that students, when they start in on these creativity measures, are less confident about doing them because the high-stakes testing environment has led them to believe they need to be very careful about what they're doing.
Do you think with the new Common Core they're working on, we'll see a change in that? Because like I know at the kindergarten Common Core standards, my daughter's bringing home prompts all the time that says, draw a picture dealing with a pizza and write a story about it. And that's all she gets. Or, draw this and write a story about it.
I honestly don't know. I think it probably depends on how they decide to score that.
So, I know most of their stuff is done in journals and portfolios and very abstract stuff they're doing.
Who's gonna grade that?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess-
Who's gonna grade this? Oh, the GT coordinator. Who's gonna grade that? That's what we were talking about right before we left for launch. The assessment releases that they release for Park, and that's what we were talking about. It's not any better than what we currently get.
I know the only way her teacher's handling it is they do one portfolio a month, so she's grading one pack each month for her 20 kids.
Well,
and they
that's
just build
survival.
on that for,
Yeah, that's survivalism.
and then they start a new one over a new topic next time.
It's survival. That's the way that works. Okay, so you can see the relationship between these two, and in a minute we'll get you so you can get your hands on them and get a look inside the manuals as well. Let me show you one more, and to do that I need some prompts. So I know you just had lunch, but Sheila, would you make sure that everybody has a little cup and tell them not to crumble the cup and not to throw it away until I give them something to do with it. Okay? See if you can get them to go along. All right? Now I need another volunteer. Pop, you're sitting here. Just pour a little bit of apple juice in everybody's cup.
Just hoping to sit down all day.
I can't do what?
Yeah,
Okay.
don't draw in your cup.
All right.
Yeah, well, you're theoretically maybe age 5 or 6 here. Don't draw in your cup.
Okay.
You might even be 4.
Don't chew on it either.
Yeah, don't chew it up. Wait till we put the juice in it.
What do you want me to do?
Oh, okay.
Give April a cup too.
Okay, everybody have a cup?
Oh, darn. Small problem here. But we'll pretend there's nothing in this. Okay. So everybody got a cup, and everybody almost has juice. Okay.
Some people do not get the same amount of juice. I'm not good
That,
at